In a world of limitless opportunities and countless challenges, the choices we make manifest themselves into the very roads that guide us. And the tribulations and triumphs that shape, weather, and bind these paths together are the very essence of what makes the world such a beautifully strange place. But we walk our path with no map, in search of answers that nobody has, simply hoping that we don't get lost along the way. So maybe just sharing our story of where we come from and the things that have guided us along the way can be enough to guide those lost in their own path.
I'm Zach Bonanza, and this is the Lost Guidance Podcast.
That's right. Blink,
Nice.
Blink and you'll miss them. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Lost Guidance Podcast, Ep.08, a great episode because I'm joined by my good buddy, Claude Huthings Jr. What's going on?
Oh, not much, man. Living the dream.
Dude, I thought that was a very fitting introduction.
I loved the ending there,
yeah,
too. That
hard
was nice.
rocking and fast paced.
Nice, man.
And just like every episode, man, we're here to talk about something that guides people's lives, you know, some different aspect. And with you, it's my man 84 Jr., Claude Huthings Racing. You're a big dirt track racer. It's been a huge part of your life for years. You're very well known in the area.
Oh, yeah. Ever since I was a kid, man.
Let's get into it, dude. Tell me where the love started. Where'd the passion start?
Oh, with my dad for sure. So,
Yeah?
I mean, my dad was racing when I was a kid. So, I mean, I've heard stories from my parents where I was like a baby and my dad had a race car, would drive it to a racetrack when we were ice racing. He'd drive the car like my parents' everyday car. He'd take the tires off, put racing tires on, and go out driving. He'd take the back seat out, and then he'd race all day, and then we'd drive it back home. And I was in a car seat in the back of the race car.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
That's crazy. So he had that pumping through his veins and spread right onto you early
Oh,
on.
yeah, for sure.
That's so awesome, man. So was it kind of just like a hobby that you two eventually just kind of escalated together? Like what led you to actually doing dirt track racing?
My dad, he ice raced, and then it turned into dirt track racing. And when I was a kid, I ended up buying a go-kart. I ran a slingshot at Utica Rome Speedway. And I mean, really from there, that was when I was too afraid to drive it. I didn't even want to. I mean, really, I was like, I think like 8 or 10 years old when I got that, but I was driving field cars out back for forever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like really what ended up happening was, I mean, I just always had a passion to drive around and listen to cool cars and
go fast.
And go fast. Yeah. And it kind of escalated up into where we are now.
That's so awesome. Yeah. And I know it's a huge thing for you guys. Like you have your own team and everything, and you're regularly competing not only at Utica Rome, the local area, but all around, like a full circuit. Really.
Oh yeah, so not so much this year, but in years past we did the Race of Champions, which goes, I mean, down into Pennsylvania. I mean,
Really?
all over the place. I mean, all the way up in Western New York and
Wow.
and up north. So I mean, that was quite a haul. We kind of calmed down from that because that takes quite a bit of money to keep up with those guys. I mean, we won 2 championships doing that. So
wow.
I mean, and at a young age too. I think I was about the youngest person to ever win the ROC championship.
Wow.
But I mean, we had to calm down away from that because I mean, it was just sucking us dry.
I can't imagine to travel all those places.
Yeah,
and
I
do
mean,
maintenance and
leaving from school and like not going to class to go down to the racetrack and hey mom, yeah, no, I don't have class today. It got canceled.
Yeah. Class has been canceled a lot.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So how many races were in this Race of Champions?
There's usually about like probably 10 to 12 races.
Each at a different track.
Each at a different track, yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
And you won it twice.
And I won the whole championship twice, yeah. And not only the whole championship, at the end of the year, there's usually a big invitational race where there's like there's usually about like maybe 60 to 80 sportsmen there. And what they do is they basically invite everybody. And if you were a champion in your district, you were in the race. And I ended up qualifying like I think like 4th or 5th in the feature. It was a 100-lap feature.
Wow.
I ended up winning the whole thing twice. So I
Wow.
mean, that's a big accomplishment when you're going around the best of everybody in the area, and then you go there and you win. It's an awesome
That's
feeling.
huge, man.
Yeah.
Wow. So impressive. How many wins would you say you've amassed so far?
Oh man, I don't even know.
You're a very winning guy.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
That's-
We win all the time. So I mean, that's a thing we're used to.
Yeah.
If we don't win, there's something wrong.
What do you think? What do you think are the parts going into that?
It's a huge part of our race team. I mean, and as bad as it sounds, I don't really do too much on the car. It's all my dad and the team. I mean, those guys are over there. They're working on the race car right now, and
wow.
yeah, as we speak. So I mean, they put tons of hours into it, and they're there setting up the car and making it better and making it better. And that car's on the scales all the time. It's getting 100% torn apart over the winter and getting put back together. Even if it's just cleaning parts and putting it back together, I mean, it's nothing doesn't go untouched.
Wow.
So it's quite an accomplishment for them guys. And then I'm just the driver. That's what I always say. I'm just the one who puts my foot down, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's totally those guys.
Yeah, as with any sport, it kind of starts with the foundation, you know?
Yeah.
If it's football, it's your lineman. And if it's, baseball, it's your pitcher or whatever. So it's really awesome that you have such a crackpot team behind you, man.
Oh, for sure. I mean, those guys are.
It's a perfect formula.
Yeah,
Perfect,
it really is. It
obviously.
really is. Yeah.
That's awesome. So you said you started out young at Utica Roma in the slingshots doing go-karts?
Yeah, so slingshots are like a little mini modified looking thing. They got like some weird wings on the back of them, and they had, I think, like a Honda like V-twin engine in them.
Nice.
And I'll never forget, I think I was young, probably like 8 years old. I went out for the first time, and I think I hit the wall. And I was crying. I was crying so hard I didn't want to get out of the car. And when I got out, I didn't want to go back into it because I was crying so hard. And my dad's like, "Oh, you got to grow up, get back in there." Blah blah blah.
That's motivation.
Yeah. So then that summer, we went camping with my parents, and it was raining outside real bad. And I came back home, and I wanted to drive my 4-wheeler around the house when I was a kid. And I ended up basically going off a cliff at my house behind the pond. And I crushed my growth plate in my arm and got a wicked scar. So I didn't end up racing anymore. I think I raced like 1 or 2 races that year in the slingshot. And so we ended up selling it because, I mean, my dad, it was a pretty expensive little go-kart.
Yeah.
And didn't really want to keep it that much. So,
Yeah.
So I ended up breaking my arm and didn't get back into the slingshot. And then a few years later, we ended up buying a go-kart like for dirt racing. Like they're like the really, really low ones. You know, they got usually like the 5-horse Briggs and Strattons on them. They're more than 5 horsepower, but that's like the basic block of them.
Yeah.
And we started with that, racing against Mason Olmsted and a couple cool guys there too. And
he'll be coming on the show.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
sweet. Yeah, he's a cool guy.
Yeah.
Anyways, we raced against him when I was probably maybe like 10, 11 years old, and we raced that for a few years while my dad had a 4-cylinder mini stock racing at Brewerton Speedway over towards Syracuse.
Oh, nice.
And he had another guy racing that because at the time you had to be 16 years old or older to race a 4-cylinder mini stock at that track. So anyways, that guy, he couldn't run one night, and for some reason my dad was like, "Here, you want to try it?" We got approval from the track for me to get in there and try it.
So you're like 14, 15 at the time?
No, I think I was like 12 at this point.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so anyways, I got in there and I ended up doing pretty good actually. I think I got like a 3rd or a 4th. And we ran that whole season and did all right. I forget what we finished in points, maybe like 4th or 5th. But then the next subsequent seasons after that, we were undefeated and just, I mean, killed them.
Wow.
I mean, the 4-cylinder racing was definitely a lot of fun too. I mean, there's still, I mean, the group of friends that we built from that like era of 4-cylinder racing. I mean, I'm still really good friends with them all on Facebook
Really?
and see them. Yeah. So they're a good group of people. I mean, they're a bunch of awesome guys and girls too. And
That's awesome.
And still good friends with them. I mean, they're such a great group of people to meet when I was such a young person, and then ended up growing up and still like get to see them all the time.
Yeah, it was kind of a very shared experience, it sounds like.
Yeah. I was such a young kid. I mean, I was like in like middle school.
Yeah,
and then,
seriously.
and
I
then
was
like,
just
all
thinking
right,
that.
Fridays, Dad, come pick me up from school, and we're leaving. We're leaving for the track right now. So I mean, we get in the truck, drive to the track, and then go win, and then come home, and then have the whole weekend. It was such a great feeling.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah. Like, look how excited you are about it now. Even that's cool,
Yeah.
man. That it was like normal 12-year-olds aren't doing that kind of stuff. They're,
Oh, no,
they're
yeah.
going home after school and playing video games. You're like, stick me in a race car, baby.
Yeah,
Let's do
for
this.
sure. Yeah, no, it was great.
That's cool, man. And I can definitely see how bringing a lot, because like you said, it's not a cheap sport, and it's something you have to really want to do and work hard at, as with anything like that. And it kind of sounds like once you get a population of people like that all together, you're bound to create bonds and friendships that are long lasting.
For sure.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So you stayed, because you're most prominent in the sportsman class, right?
Yeah.
So did you go right from 4 cylinders to the sportsman, or?
There was kind of a transition there. So I mean, we started running we started running 4 cylinders so much and winning so much that we'd go to the track and get booed, and we'd show up at tracks and people would be like, all right,
Really?
yeah, we're racing for second.
What a champagne problem to have.
Yeah, right. And they'd be like, okay, looks like we're racing for second place. We'd pull into a place and they'd just like just be like, oh man, he's gonna win, right? So it got to be a little out of hand, and we're like, all right, we need to move on. And I think we ran 4 cylinder for maybe 4 or 5 years. And one of my dad's good friends, Paul Carey, he ended up running a sportsman at Utica Rome for years. And anyways, he was kind of building the team back together with a couple guys who was actually kind of now on that's basically what my race team came out of was Paul's.
Paul Carey's.
Yeah. So
So you got a wedged right into the door.
yeah,
You were ready.
so I kind of went out, test drove one of his cars, did all right. I'm pretty sure I hit the wall or something and ended up breaking the car. But went out and
First day?
yeah, first day, first time. And
Oh man.
that was quite an experience. But I mean, then I think we ended up buying our own car. So we bought our own car, and we started putting it together with the help of Paul's crew. And we did all right. We went out in what's called the Rookie Crate Sportsman. It's a division just for like new people, basically people that like not people that never been in a race car, but people that are new to sports, because they're a completely different animal. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like the car you're driving down the road every day.
Yeah.
Like you sit off to one side and it's got a little 4-cylinder motor. Like you're sitting with a big or a small block Chevy between your legs, no transmission, direct drive. You're sitting in the middle of the car and there's open wheels all around you.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's what that class is really geared toward, was like getting people kind of used to that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a completely different experience. It's not like
Yeah.
it's not like driving your everyday car down the road.
That's crazy, man.
Like the car just always wants to turn on you.
Do you ever feel like exposed in it?
No,
That's-
actually, to tell you the truth, it's not so much like a sprint car where, like, if I was in a sprint car, I mean, I would almost feel scared because, like,
Yeah.
those things, like, your arms hanging out the window.
Right.
Like, no, a sportsman, you got a bunch of sheet metal and like bars all around you. So, I mean, you feel safe when you're in
Yeah.
it for sure. But, I mean, there is a point when you look down and you're like, okay, that's the drive shaft
Yeah.
running right between my legs. Like, yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, to get back to the rookie sportsman thing, it was a class designed just for people like that have never been in that kind of a car or anything like that. So we raced that. We did all right. We had a win or two in that the first year. Then we ended up moving up to the regular sportsman class. It was all at Fulton Speedway in Syracuse. Did that for I think a year, and we ended up going into a track closer to us, Utica Rome Speedway, to Open Sportsman. So we ran our crate sportsman at Utica Rome against Open Sportsman, and we were doing all right. We got I think 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th in that range. We were kind of mid-pack kind of a car, but we were running 350 horsepower against guys with 500 horsepower.
Right.
So it was kind of tricky. But then next year we decided to go full gung ho with the Open Sportsman, and that's where it really exploded. So once we got our Open Sportsman motor and we were running against other Open Sportsmans, that's when it really took off.
Fire caught.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that's when we started winning again since 4 cylinders. So there was a time frame in the crate sportsman range where we were like, we won 1 or 2 races, but we weren't dominant,
Right.
We weren't like the guys to beat.
So did you recognize there was a piece missing, or something needed to change, or did you just say, let's try it? and see
No,
what
it was
happens?
kind of a one thing. Like I barely, to tell you the truth, it was so long ago. I think I was like 15 years old, and I remember being really excited when my dad, we basically bought an open sportsman motor, and it was like, oh, whose is it? And oh man, how many horsepower is it? And then and he dropped it in the car, and we ended up firing it up for the first time. And an open sportsman in our shop, our garage is pretty big. It literally rattles the windows and the garage doors rattle, and you could feel like your chest like vibrating.
Oh man,
like it's a wild feeling when you're
what an
behind one of
adrenaline
those
rush.
things. Yeah.
And you were probably like sweating at the palm.
Yeah,
like,
I
this
was
is
like,
my beast.
get me in that thing now.
That's awesome, dude. Oh, that is so great.
Yeah.
So you can just tell this is something internal in you, man. Just burning alive, and it's so cool to see how passionate you are about it. Like,
Yeah, for sure, dude.
You know, it's moments like that that really brought you the joy and that got you going. You know.
Oh yeah, and then every new motor that we got, I mean, it was just like it was bigger and better and faster and awesome. And
It's like a new Christmas.
yeah, for sure, it was awesome.
So how long did you? So walk me through like the sportsman class. Did you start winning? It was just a continuous run of wins, or
Actually, it was tough to tell you the truth. So we ended up the first few years, it was a ton of second places. I mean, it was actually almost like sad because we would get so close. We'd lead every single lap except for the last one and get passed on the last lap and end up getting second. So I mean, we knew we were there. We just needed something a little bit better. And coming down to it, it came down to be a little bit more set up and basically more experience too, and a lot of tire prep too. So I mean, my dad, he spends hours on tire prep. So
Really?
like our tires are about as wide as this table, right?
Yeah.
And I mean they're pretty wide. They're almost like I think like 18 inches wide or something
Wow.
like that. And when you buy a new tire, you got to open it up basically, so it's like basically got like a glaze on it, right?
Okay.
And what you do is you take like a grinder, like a sander, right, and they grind the tires and they try to grind that like glaze off of them basically, and then they got to open them up with a tire siper, and it takes hours. I mean, my dad's over there like doing new tires all the time.
Really?
And that was a really big key to it. I mean, was tires for us anyways, because I mean we were kind of lacking in like tires department, and
Like
then,
just knowledge of them?
yeah,
or?
just knowledge of how they work, and my dad, he's excellent at it. I mean, and so is Mark Hale, our crew chief. I mean, they can look at a track and they know when to change tires, what size tires. So like,
Wow.
So the tires are all not the same size. Like the right one's bigger than the left one, and it's
Because you're always going around.
yeah, you're always going around,
At an
right?
angle,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's called stagger, and the more stagger you have in the car, the looser the car is. So I mean, and sometimes you want a loose car, sometimes you want a tight car.
Really?
Depends all on track conditions, whether it's like that dry slick where you can basically, it looks like a mirror on the track, or if it's that really tacky like brown looking clay.
Yeah.
Those guys, they can look at a track and know what it's gonna do. I mean,
That's
and
impressive.
they come up with tire combinations and what do we need and
For
what-
each tire.
for each tire, and what
Wow.
hardness the tires have to be. So there's different hardnesses and different sizes and different ways to prepare them. So I mean, they do all this like just looking at a track and like, okay, we're gonna put these on and we're gonna do this and we're gonna do this and we're gonna do this, and then we go out and win. So
That is amazing to me.
It's amazing to me too, because I mean, I'm the driver and I'm like, all right,
I trust you guys.
Yeah.
And you notice the difference.
Yeah,
though,
oh,
don't
for
you?
sure. You could definitely tell. I mean, you can tell when the car's completely wrong. I mean, you even see this in some of the really good guys. I mean, they can go out there, they can tell the car's completely wrong, and they come in the pits, put on different tires, and it's like a completely different car out there.
Really?
Yeah, it's like it's night and day.
It's almost astonishing to me because I guess I've never even really contemplated how much would go into to being a winning team. You just need good tires. Like how much time and preparation and
Oh
understanding.
yeah. Even that. I mean, that's just one little block in the whole,
Right.
in the whole
Right.
house. Yeah.
I mean, most people just think, oh, like people could look at it as anything and being like, oh, he's got a better car or a faster motor, but it's just one of many things. That's just the cog, you know, in the wheel.
Yeah, I mean, it is quite amazing. I mean, and you see it quite a bit. I mean, you get a lot of like rich guys who have brand new cars and they come to the track and like, oh man, I'm jealous. Like he's got the
Yeah.
nicest, newest, coolest stuff. And then you got guys that are out there with like old beaters and stuff like that. And sometimes, I mean, most times they're usually quicker than the guys out there with the nice new shiny stuff,
Yeah.
because it's all experience. Like those guys that are out there like trying to work for it, you know,
Yeah.
they're out there like they know what they got to do, like tires and gear changing
Yeah.
and shock packages and all that.
I mean, it's probably just a lifetime of trial and error, really.
Oh, for
like,
sure.
Like changing one thing at a time. Like,
Yeah.
let's change this one tire. Oh, it was a little better. Let's change this tire. So much time and preparation and all that goes into it. That's so crazy. I'm astonished that I never even thought about
Yeah.
how all four tires would need to be so different.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, and like I said, that's one little block. I mean, then you got engines and like there's like different camshafts that some cars where they like basically like you don't feel any power, and then all of a sudden it like takes right off, and you're like, what in the world? It's like a turbo kicking in kind of thing. And that's actually not so good. You really don't want an engine that's like that on a slick track,
Right?
Because I mean, you're like your baby and you're feathering the throttle. You ever drive in the ice and you're like, oh man, okay, I gotta back off a little. That's what it's like driving on a dirt track.
Yeah.
And you gotta sit there and baby the throttle, and as soon as that, like if it kicks in and like a huge power band or whatever, that's terrible, because then the rear wheels just light right up.
Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow, man. So once you guys kind of pieced together that you needed the better tire work and you're finding your little niches basically, that's when it started piecing together. You started hitting first.
Oh, we started clicking, and then that's when we started winning. I mean, and we started getting, I don't want to say fully dominant, because
I remember a period of seeing your name on the winning, a winning post about you or something for a long time,
all the time,
very frequently.
Yeah, so I
That's
mean,
something to be very proud of.
Yeah, for sure. No, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
I mean, I do like it, and I mean, we still are going strong as ever. So we kind of, I don't know, we kind of got out of open sportsman because, again, just like four cylinders, we were getting to the point where we just were like, okay, we won 7 races out of the 14 last year. We won over half our races. I mean, we're doing really good. We need to move on. So one of my awesome sponsors, Jimmy Bray, James Bray Paving and Excavating.
Nice.
Yeah, he came by and he picked me up one morning and goes, want to buy a big block? And I was like, yeah, sure. I was like, I don't know if you know, but big blocks, like they're stupid expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like a mortgage on a house expensive. Like,
wow.
yeah. So
and you didn't even think twice.
Nope. I was like, I'll get in the truck. We drove to Schenectady. Ended up going and picking up a nice used one. So
that is so awesome.
Yeah. So we ended up getting that, and we went out big block racing, tried it a little bit, and that got really expensive, almost in a heartbeat. I mean, we went from like open sports and racing, where we were buying like one set of tires, like I said, which are about $1,000, or actually I think they're more like $600 for a set of rear tires. But one set of tires would last us maybe 3, 4, 5 weeks. To big block racing, I mean, it's like 1 or 2 weeks, and then you're buying new tires. I mean, so
you're upping the ante, but you're also upping the cost.
Oh yeah, yep. So I mean, and it's hard to compete with guys that do it for a living. I mean, so like I said, I'm a mechanical engineer, so I have a job, like a day job, but these other guys that are doing it, I mean, that's their job, is being a race car driver. And it's hard to compete against people that 24/7, 4 nights a week are dirt track racing and going strong.
So how much time have you spent in the big block class? Is that where you're still racing at?
No. So we went back to open sportsman. So because of the expense, like, I mean, we did it for 1 year. They ended up dropping big blocks at Utica Rome Speedway.
So you'd have to go farther to get.
So I would have had to go farther to race. Yeah. So
another expense.
Yeah, exactly. So we were racing weekly down at the Afton Motor Speedway, which is only like an hour about south of us. You know where like Sydney is, or like New Berlin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
New Berlin.
Yeah. So it's about like an hour south of us, and we were racing there in open sportsman, and that's when we were really dominant. Like I was saying, like we'd win like seven nights a week or something like that. So, or 7 nights, seven.
You're like, it's cheaper and we win. Let's go back down.
Yeah, for sure. So that, I mean, it just made sense, and we were having fun. Like big block racing, I mean, it was all right, but like we weren't winning, and it was like you're like almost like something's missing. Like you need to do it. You know,
you need a win every so often. It
make you feel better. Yeah.
All right. So you took last year off though.
So we took last year off from racing modifieds, and we went straight down to racing open sportsman down to Afton.
Oh, okay.
So then fast forward to this year, we ended up we bought a small block this year. So now Utica Rome's back to running 358 small blocks, which it's basically an open sportsman, but with a 4-barrel carburetor on it and a few more rules. But they're around the same horsepower. So our open sportsman was about 500 horsepower. 358 modified is about 550 horsepower versus our big block is 935 horsepower.
Okay, so it's just a little bit of a step up, not a full gallop.
Yeah, not a full huge jump. So
Okay.
yeah, so we'll be racing 358s at Utica Rome this year. So
That's awesome, man. How much time do you spend at each of the various tracks in the area? Is there like a preferred one that you go to, or do you try to catch as many as possible?
I mean, it depends on kind of like our time frame and how busy we are. I mean, we like to play around. So when we were running for championships, we wouldn't go play around.
Yeah.
But now that it's kind of like more relaxed, we're not trying to win that ROC championship anymore. Now it's basically like, hey, you guys want to go to Fulton to go mess around for a weekend, or you guys want to go down to Brewerton Speedway?
Show these chumps what's up.
Yeah, let's just go play around for a little while. So it's been a lot more relaxed ever since then.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
What's the actually? Hold on, let me just see something here.
I'm thirsty. I want a beer. What about you? You want a beer?
No, I'm all good.
You got? All right. I need the. Oh. So what's like the long-term aspirations?
Long term, I mean,
Do you want to do a different circuit? Do you want to get into a different class?
you know what's funny is so since I've been a young person, a lot of people ask me that all the time. I mean, they're all like, "Oh, are you gonna run NASCAR?" Like, I mean, sure, it'd be fun.
Do
like,
it.
Yeah.
Yo, give me an autograph.
Right? No, I mean, it's definitely a different situation. I mean, like a lot of people are like, "Oh yeah, I want to be like the biggest and the best there is." I mean, we literally race to have fun. I mean, we're not racing to become millionaires, and we're not racing to do anything other than just have
Right.
fun with
Yeah.
family and like hanging out with my dad and all the guys on the race team. So I mean, that's the reason we do it. I mean, we're not trying to go out there to be famous. So everybody's like, "Oh, what do you think your next step is? Or do you think you're ever going to run NASCAR?" It's like, no, I have a day job. Like, I actually did get an offer to ride in an ARCA car, which that's like, it's basically like old NASCAR cars. They go out there.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. It's on TV. It's
That's
like,
cool.
yeah. And I mean, it didn't end up working out, but I mean, once you get to that level, you basically got to like quit your job, like
Right.
sell your house, get rid of all your cars, and basically just like go racing.
Full 100%.
Full
NASCAR.
100%. I mean, and that takes a certain type of dedication that like,
You don't think you'll ever
no
want that?
No, I mean those guys. I mean, it is fun to race. Like, and that, like I said, like that's what we're doing it for fun. You know, we're not doing it to go out there and be multi-millionaires and go run NASCAR and with Kyle Busch or nothing like that. I mean, sure, if the offer ever came up and we're like, sure, like, yeah, we'll do it. Like, we'll try it out, see how it is, see how we do. If we're winning, then that, you know, maybe it'll change my mind.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, right.
Like maybe if someone saw you racing and we're like, hey, we'll just test you out. Our driver's injured or something.
Yeah.
Give it a shot. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
That'd be
for
amazing.
sure. Yeah, for sure.
So it sounds like something you'll still want to just have stick with you throughout your life. And maybe if you have kids, teach them.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. And you know what else? Possibly even like, I feel like you'd be, because you're very personable and you're happy-go-lucky kind of guy. I think you'd be a great teacher.
Oh yeah.
For like young people, you know,
Yeah.
to mentor.
Yeah,
them.
no, it'd be fun. I can't wait to have my own kids. I'm pushing Carly all the time. No, I'm like, Carly, come on.
She's gonna hear that.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, she knows that for a fact.
We need a little racer.
Yeah,
Come
right.
here.
Yeah, need a little kid to teach him how to go fast, right? No, and to tell you the truth, I think that's how my dad was with me. I think my dad really, really enjoyed like watching me grow up and watching me. Like, I mean, I think I was 3 years old when I had my first go-kart, like gas-powered go-kart. And then I was 4 or 5 years old when my parents actually stuck me in a car and was like, here, go drive around back of the house. And then I was 7 years old when my dad taught me how to drive 5-speed, like stick. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've always been around cars and playing around and having fun, you know.
So it's definitely in your genes. It's in your nature.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Was your dad a really proficient ice racer?
He did ice racing and he did dirt racing and pure stock division, but he kicked ass in ice racing. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's something you don't even hear of anymore.
No.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, right. Him and a good buddy of his were like good rivals, basically.
Oh yeah.
And so my dad, you know me, my dad owns a Saab repair shop, right?
Uh-huh.
And his like best rival was a guy out towards Albany, who they owned the Saab dealership out in Albany, like huge car dealership. and their rival goes way back. I mean,
That's
yeah,
funny.
and the greatest part was they were like great friends out of the car. They'd get in the car and they'd lean on each other and hit each other, and like
That's
they'd
funny.
race until the bumpers fell off the thing. So I mean, he loved it, and it was actually they're quite fun races to watch too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Was your grandfather a racer at all?
No. I think it was more like my dad when he was a kid. I think he had an uncle who like used to sneak him into tracks, and like they used to go and like look over the fence and watch the race cars, and I mean my dad's a mechanic, and he always just wanted to had a passion to go fast, really.
Yeah.
So I mean he's been building race cars for a while now, and he does a damn good job doing it.
Yeah. Man, that's the American dream, you know? Like,
Yeah.
that's something you hear out of a book. A little kid who's watching races with his uncle grows up to own his own really successful repair shop and help his son become a great championship racer, dude.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's
That's
cool.
That's like the American dream. So if not to go, you're not going to take this to NASCAR or anything. That's not unrealistic. But I definitely think you could use this as a proficient outlet in many different ways. And but do you think you'll stick in the same class? You just gonna sportsman, or
We're gonna kind of feel it out. I mean,
keep bopping around?
Yeah,
and
you
just-
never know where you're gonna go. I mean, like I never knew. I would have never even thought when I was a young kid racing a 4-cylinder that I'd ever be in a dirt modified now. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, I'd never see myself in a sprint car, or hey, I never see myself in a cup car or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's like when I was a kid running a 4-cylinder. I mean, we were doing good, but I mean, we weren't like. I didn't think I was like the best and the craziest guy out there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Time changes all
yeah,
things.
time changes. So you never know.
Is there anybody that you're seeing on the scene today that you think, wow, he's like really good, he'll be a good up and comer?
Yeah, there's quite a few really good young kids out there, and they actually have. So when I was running Open Sportsman, a kid named Tyler Dibble, he was running Open Sportsman too, and now he's in the NASCAR K&N Truck Cup Series. So
Really?
yeah, he's doing really good, and he's
Wow.
been winning races too. So I mean, I don't know about now. A lot of it's usually like dirt racers trying to do really good. A lot of the really, really young kids stick to what are called crate sportsmen. So a crate car is what you do is you open up a catalog, buy an engine, and it's sealed shut, like with like almost like a rounded off bolt, and you can't touch the motor. So every single motor is supposed to be the same. So they basically try to take the motor aspect out of winning.
Oh,
And,
okay. That's interesting.
So
And this is that class you said is right below sportsman to get people used to the car, right?
yeah, yep, basically.
A 350, you said 350 horse.
350 horsepower, yeah, around that.
Fucking
Maybe
listed,
maybe
dude.
like 400 horsepower. I don't know, somewhere in that range. It's been such a long time
Yeah.
that I've even paid attention
Yeah.
really to sports open or crate sportsman rather. So that's a big class for a lot of people. That's right now. That's what dirt racing is right now. So it's funny because way back in the day, no, I shouldn't even say way back in the day, but 10 years ago, right, there was no such thing as crate class, and the economy was really good before the recession, and what ended up happening was there was a lot of cars and a lot of like custom quote unquote cars, and then what had happened was the recession, right? And first thing that goes, I mean, it's just like they say, like when the economic or the economy is bad, like beer, like craft brewery is going to be hit hard, right?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
people don't want to buy craft beer; they want to buy like the cheap beers. So
Yeah.
what ended up happening was the economy hit really hard racing, and the guys that could afford to do it by themselves were basically business owners and stuff like that, not people like going out and getting sponsorships, really, but more like bigger guys that can self-sustain themselves. And anyways, that's how crate car racing came out, because a crate motor is only like $3,500 versus our 358 engine's about $30,000. A big
Wow.
block engine's about $60,000 to $70,000.
Wow.
So I mean, that's just for the motor, and then you got to think the car is another $30,000, and then like I said, one set of tires is about $1,000 a piece.
Jesus.
Then you
It
got
adds
race
up.
fuel, which is between $12 and $14 a gallon too.
Wow.
And you can go through about 10 gallons 5 to 10 gallons a night.
Wow. Yeah, you can see how these costs would add up.
Yeah, I mean, and that's not it. I mean, you got to think so say you go out and you bust the front end on the car, you know. So
In your first race. or
yeah,
something.
and a front end, that's about $3,000. So I mean, and you imagine spending that in a week.
Yeah.
Like these guys that are like out there trying to do it themselves, like not really having sponsors. So that's where crate racing really like came out of was actually like it's supposed to be an economy class, you know, like
Yeah.
and it works out good. I mean, you got to be a certain type of person that wants to run a crate car.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't want to say it's like a get in line and run kind of a class, but I mean,
It's a level playing field.
yes, it's a level playing field. It's really hard to be really good, and if you are really good, you're probably cheating.
Yeah.
Yeah, so-
That's funny.
Yeah.
Man. That's cool though that they came up with that.
Yeah,
It's kind of an equal system.
yeah, for sure.
Wow, dude, you can definitely see why it's inexpensive, especially when you're doing a sport that is so easily, anything could change. The tides shift so easily.
Oh yeah,
And one day you're like, yeah, we're gonna get first, and then all of a sudden, like you said, you blow out your front end, and there's $3,000.
yep.
You know, and it's not something for the faint at heart to
No.
want to doing.
No, it's amazing to watch the guys even today that are out there right now that they're going out every week and they're wrecking the front ends on their cars, and it's like, where are you getting the money? They do this week in and week out, or wrecking cars, or getting rear ends tore up in them, or they're popping tires left and right, or whatever, or blowing up motors, and they come right back the next week and do it again each and every single week. It's like, how do you do that?
No, seriously,
exactly.
how?
I have no idea
That is
myself.
crazy,
yeah.
man.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, luckily, knock on wood, we're super lucky. I mean, I don't want to try to brag, but I'm a decently clean driver. I mean, we don't get into too many accidents.
No, it's not bragging. That's objective.
Yeah,
'cause
yeah,
you
yeah.
do well. You
yeah,
know?
yeah. So we do pretty good. And we struggle. I mean, really, honestly. I mean, sometimes it is tight at some weeks, and it's just you watch these people that are out there like tearing up their cars, and you're just like, how do you do that, man? That's crazy.
It's almost like do they even realize the short-term versus long-term gains and,
Yeah.
and issues that
Yeah,
they're going to
for
come
sure.
across. You dump all your money into this, you're going to be out of the sport here soon with
Mhm.
the bankrupt check.
Yeah, it's a big money sport, but I mean, like, again, it's a huge passion sport
Yeah.
too. I mean, so obviously those people have a huge passion with a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Now, I don't know how sponsor deals or anything like that. Do you think it's possible that maybe they're getting a sponsor that's helping with like tires? Or...
so that's how our whole sponsorship works, man. So we got a really good sponsor, James Bray Pavin.
Yep.
He helps us out with pretty much everything. And
That's awesome.
then we got the medicine shop that just came online actually just a few weeks ago. And
Where's that?
There's one right down Washington Mills.
Kellogg Road.
Yeah, right on
That's
Kellogg
what I
Road.
thought. Oh, yeah.
Yep, there's there. They got a couple out in Syracuse. One
Oh,
in
so you're saying
Casanova.
your sponsorship just
Yeah,
came on there.
yeah. So
Oh,
he just came on. Like I'm saying, he just came online as a
Oh.
sponsor.
Awesome.
Probably I think like 2 weeks ago now. So
Awesome,
and
congrats.
yeah, no. So he helped out quite a bit and building this new 358 engine and he's gonna definitely help out. Like you hear the cost of racing, man. I mean, so that's definitely gonna help out with tires and fuel and body work. And once you get a new sponsor, you got to put a new body on the car, right?
Yeah.
Because you got to re-letter to the car. I mean, that's like
Right.
another $1,000, man.
Yeah.
You know, so it's amazing how quick it adds up. And
But I'm sure someone like that, they probably see the symbiotic relationship that will come, you know.
oh yeah.
The yin and the yang, you know, you're going to be out there with one of the most winning racers in the past few years.
Oh, for sure. He loved it too.
And it's all over the news.
Yeah,
you know?
so a really interesting story is we talked to them a little while ago, and I never met him before. Neither did my dad. Walk in, we showed him all the racing pictures, and like, yeah, we're a race winning team, you know. Like we go to win, you know. We don't go to get second place, right?
Yeah.
And we showed a bunch of newspaper clippings and all that, and then when he finally like got down to write the check, and he was like, okay, yeah. He goes, well, this is a lot cooler than a billboard because he has like billboards all over the place. He goes, I'm gonna enjoy this one a little
That's
bit
cool,
more.
man.
So yeah.
That's so awesome. Where do you think this, you know, because it's kind of funny that on one sentiment, you're like, you recognize that it's just a hobby, but it's a passionate hobby. You know, even more than that, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it's something that you are really passionate about. And while you know it's not going to be a career choice, it's something you really want to put everything into and you want to win. Where do you think that comes from? I think it's a little bit of that is in every one of us.
Oh, yeah.
In some different regard. And for you, it's racing, man. And where do you think that comes from for you?
I don't know. It's just a passion. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just like you wake up and you want to do it kind
Yeah.
of thing. I mean, it's hard to explain. I don't really know, to tell you the truth.
know.
I mean, like you see people are with all different things. You see people that in like daily life that like want to wake up and like do good at work,
Yeah,
or like
and
stuff like that. Like
I think of all different people like that. Like people who want to get up and run 10 miles. I'm like, I personally don't want to
Screw
do that.
that,
You
yeah.
know? But like somebody has that, and so I'm always interested to talk to people and kind of figure out if they even recognize it or just kind of dive into what it is that drives all of us to do this crazy shit, man.
Yeah, no,
that we
it's
all
just,
keep doing to get through in life. You know,
it's just such a natural thing, man. Like I
Yeah.
don't know, you just wake up and you want to do it. It's not like
Bad,
like
too.
yeah, exactly.
It's those things that you can't wait for 5 o'clock to roll around so you can get out of work.
It's like an addiction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you're like, yeah, I want some.
Exactly.
Give me a win after this.
Right?
That's so awesome, though, man. And you could tell, even just talking with you, I'm sure everybody listening can hear it, how awesome it is to see somebody this passionate about racing and good at it. You know,
for sure.
and I totally can relate a little bit about the just wanting to do it for the love of it and see where it goes. This podcast, man, I have, like you said, I have no ambition of becoming a millionaire. I'm not going to be Joe Rogan as much as I love that
But
guy.
if it comes, I mean, you're not
If it
going to
comes,
mind,
yeah,
right?
right, yeah.
That's the same way I am.
If ABC starts knocking on the door and they want me to host late night TV or something,
Exactly.
I'm not going to shut them
You never
away.
know. You never know. Jimmy Fallon. Yeah.
You never know, man.
Anybody. Yeah, no. So, I mean, it is. It's quite wild.
Yeah, dude, you got to just do the things that you love. And if you recognize that you're good at them and that it makes you happy, stick with it.
For sure.
I think that's a really good underlying kind of morality of the thing, morality of the situation. So, just want to check on my buddy Jeremy. he always, every time we see each other at work, he goes, I don't know what it's about. But, that's what he just chimed in on Twitch. So what do you think? I mean, what do you think about the racing season coming up?
Racing season coming up. So
You're going to be in on it again this year?
Oh yeah. So
That's what people
we're
want.
so like
Give
I
people
said,
what they want, Claude.
as we sit here right now, my whole race team's back at home, and they're
Give them a shout out.
yeah,
They'll
right.
watch.
Yeah, so we got Mark Hale and his wife Chris, and she's probably at my house too with my mom. But
Probably
we got Mark
watching
Hale.
this.
He's our crew chief. I mean, he's such a diehard. I mean, he's been doing it for years with Paul Carey. He was Paul Carey's crew chief. And now he's the guy who sets up the car, right? So he's there all the time, like has the car up on the scales, like there with the tape measure, there with the scales. Like when I say scales, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Like to actually weigh the car?
Yeah, so they weigh the car, right? And every single little bolt you tighten or loosen changes weight in the car and ride heights and everything like that.
Wow, so they're that
they're
precise.
they're a precision piece
That's
of
amazing.
equipment. Yeah.
So like what do you want the ratio to be?
Oh, it's all different for every track.
So you already do you go to the track and scout it out? Like this is what the dirt's like.
Yep.
What we
So
need it to be?
so basically, and it completely changes when you get there too. So I mean, like we have a general idea of like, okay, we're going to Fulton Speedway. We know what we got to be at, right? And we get there and we're like, all right, never mind. We got to change this just before a feature. Yeah.
You have a scale that you bring with you.
No.
Oh.
So what happens is like people have figured out like, okay, if you give this one turn, you move 5 pounds side to side, or if you give this
Really?
like a half a turn in the front or 2
You
turns
were
in the
blowing
front.
my mind with the
Yeah,
precision
yeah.
of this shit.
Yeah,
and I
no.
like knew it, but I didn't realize it.
These people are wild, man.
That
So-
is so intense.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
So that's what Mark does. Like that he is great at that. I mean,
Wow.
he is a mastermind. Like we are so lucky for him to be on our team that if he wasn't there, we wouldn't even be close to where we're at. Right.
Yeah, wow.
So and he's phenomenal. And then you got my dad, right? So my dad, he does a lot of labor, right? So right now, there's a new rule they just came out with that you need to have a fire suppression system on your car. So what they're doing now is they took all the body off of the car, right? And they're trying to put this it's like almost like a foam rather than the dust like you really normally spray. It's like an expanding foam kind of stuff. So they gotta plumb the whole car. It's got all these weird like things. If it gets too hot, it breaks like a piece of glass and the foam comes out. It's wild.
Wow,
So,
that is crazy.
yeah, so it's like a new rule they just came out with because of all the fires that are usually happening. Like people roll up on the roof and gas starts pouring down them, and then all you need is hot gas to touch the exhaust, get hot or a spark or something like that, and they'll blow up.
Jesus.
Really. Yeah, so it's quite dangerous.
Has
So-
that happened?
Not to me, but it happens. It happens to people. Yeah,
Yeah.
So
Damn,
yeah,
man.
it happens to people all the time. I mean, usually there's quite a few fires a year from that happening. So that's really that rule like stemmed out. Like NASCAR cars have had it for years.
Yeah.
Usually any other type of racing like asphalt racing or doing like circuit racing or anything like that, they usually have fire suppression systems on them. So I mean, it's kind of like good that we're kind of catching up with the sport.
Definitely.
I mean, it's expensive, and believe me, I don't want to buy it just as much as everybody else wanted to.
And it's adding weight, I bet.
Yeah, it's adding weight, so it weighs like 22 pounds. We know that for a fact. It weighs 22 pounds and a couple ounces. So I mean,
wow.
yeah.
So your dad's probably figuring out where you can shed weight. Right?
Yeah, no, he's trying to figure out where to put it. So I
Oh.
mean, you put it up high, and you add more balance to the car for it to roll over. So I mean, it's like I said. So that's all the stuff my dad does. Is he's sitting there trying to figure out how to run that system through. He's the guy putting the motors in, and then. So we just had one of our really good guys pass away, actually, Al Larrabee. He was our engine guy, so he ended up just passing away of lung cancer. It was just before Christmas.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So yeah, no, it's cool, man. He was an awesome guy, though. I mean, he was a hellraiser. He was a guy that you would never guess how old he was just by talking to him, listening to him, hanging out with him. He was I think he was like 77, 78 years old, man. Like but he was stuck in his body. Like he was like an 18-year-old. He was a hellraiser. He was awesome, man. Yeah, he a really, really good dude. No, awesome friend, great guy. He was our engine guy, right? So he was the guy who would put all the engines in and really tune them. So even though you got an engine builder to build you an engine, you got to put it in there and like you got to adjust the valves and go through the carburetors and make sure everything's clean and make it run right. And I mean, I don't know if you ever seen like a jet set for like rejetting a carburetor, but I mean, it's like blows your mind at how complicated it is. And no, he was really good at that. Old school guy. He used to dirt race way back in the day, like back in the 40s and 50s.
Really?
Ran a dirt late model.
Back when it was just really
back when it was like guys like basically betting each other for like their houses and like like running moonshine kind of stuff. Like that was like
that's hardcore.
Yeah, so he was into that kind of stuff, and he was a real hardcore guy, and it's kind of sucks to see him gone, but
yeah, it's guys like that made the sport, man. And
yeah, for
kind of
sure.
what it came to be.
Yeah.
Old hardworking Americans.
Yeah,
and loved engines.
For sure. I mean, it just that's how he was. He was a diehard guy too.
Yeah.
He'd be over there. It was so funny. So we'd win a race because like I said, we used to race a few nights a weekend, right? So back in the day when we were on the ROC tour, I mean, we'd run like 2, 3, maybe 3 nights a week, and he'd look out the window and he'd be over there. Like we'd get home from the track at like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, right? He'd look out the window, and my dad said, he was like, yeah, Al's been over there since 6 a.m. And it's like, he's 70-something years old, and he's over there right now. It's like, that's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah, so and he'd be over there making sure the engine was perfect for the next race.
Wow.
So it's going to be a hard season without him for sure. I mean, it really is.
Well, that's rough, man.
Yeah. So I mean, we're trying to figure out what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. But
are you looking to find somebody else who's
my dad's trying to really take it on right now, so we're gonna see how it goes, and if something does coming up, then we're definitely gonna have to reach out to somebody and try to figure it out.
Well, like we were saying earlier, man, when you have such people that are so passionate about the sport and it creates that cohesion amongst you, losing somebody is like losing a whole part of the machine.
Yeah. I mean, it's like losing a parent. You know what I'm saying? Like, exactly. It's hard. I mean, you just gotta figure out how to keep going, man.
Yeah.
Kind
of honor him just by doing that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I mean, when we win that first race in that 358 modified, I mean, it's gonna put the biggest smile on his face.
Yeah,
man.
that's awesome. Yeah. That's an awesome way to look at it.
Yeah.
Cool, man. So, man, you just keep referring back to the precision of this and how all the balance needs to be. It's just like mind-boggling. I don't think anybody really takes into that.
Yeah.
Takes into account all that goes into it.
Yeah, you get a lot of race fans that go to a racetrack and they just see a car going around and they're like, "Ooh, look at that's fast." Yeah. I mean, and I mean, then you got some race fans who really do appreciate it. And I mean, NASCAR used to be huge back in the day, and like those guys, I mean, you got to really appreciate for how much time and effort and money and thought goes into building and setting up and getting to the track. I mean, it is quite a huge machine, like you said.
Yeah, kind of like the quintessential cop-out is people saying, "Oh, he sucks. Oh, he's good." It's like so much more than that.
Yeah.
And I hope people watch this and realize that, like all of the finesse and minute details that go into being a great racer, a great
for sure,
team as well. That's so astounding. Do you think, I had asked this to my buddy Dave on the last episode, and I think it's kind of something I want to address, and whoever comes on, it's kind of a cool concept. Do you think that racing and your love of the sport and all that, do you think that is on the rise? Do you think more people are embracing the racing, or is it on the decline?
I mean, if you were to ask me like 2 years ago, I'd say it was starting to go down, but it's steadily going back up right now
Really?
at a pretty astonishing rate too.
Locally or nationally?
I'm going to say locally, especially around here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it did get down to, like I said, like it's all about economy. So, like how the economy's doing, that's how racing's doing right now.
Right.
So, the economy's doing, I don't know if you know, but the economy's doing great
Yeah,
right now. Like
yeah.
jobs are awesome. Like businesses can't hire enough people, like enough good people,
Yeah.
at least in the Utica Rome area.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, so right now, again, racing's doing awesome. So you got a lot of people coming out, a lot of people racing. I mean, Utica Rome's going to be fantastic this year. I mean, bunch of cars. I mean, and good as bad as that is, I mean, a bunch of cars, that means a lot more competition. And to tell you the truth, it's a lot more fun too.
Yeah,
So I mean,
totally.
it makes it more fun.
You'll
I mean,
find someone that can keep up with you.
exactly. So I mean, I definitely say racing is on the steady incline right now. But I mean, if something were to happen, I mean, it can drop off just as easily. So I mean, a few years back, we'd go to Utica Rome and you'd look over in the grandstands and you'd see 100 people. I mean, and 10 years ago, you couldn't find a seat to sit in. I mean, Utica Rome can sit like, I think, over 10,000 people or something,
Wow.
some crazy number. I don't know the
Yeah.
exact number, but I mean,
Yeah,
it
it's
could
big.
fit. Oh, it's a big track, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever
Yeah,
been
I've
there.
been there,
Yeah, and I mean, and then this year, I mean, you start to look over and you start to see more and more people. I mean, it's a huge family thing. So I mean, if you're into it and your kids are into it and
Yeah.
your grandkids are into it and you're like everybody else that are, I mean, it's a huge family thing. Just my friends, like, so I mean,
Yeah.
I know you know most of my friends, but a lot of people don't, like, so they all come out and enjoy it. I mean, our trailer, I mean, we probably bring between 15 and 20 people into the pit area. So
Yeah.
I mean, we make it a huge deal. Like, I mean, we all hang out and relax and have fun.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's just like a bonding, like, fun thing to do on a Sunday night.
I think I have seen significantly. I would agree with that. I've seen significantly more people bring up the idea of, hey, let's go to Utica Rome on Sundays.
Yeah.
And just have a couple beers and watch the races. And I think it's also on the rise because maybe people are recognizing that it's kind of a unique experience that you don't get everywhere in the United States.
No.
You can't just go down to the wherever Carolina and expect to find stuff like that and find talent like that.
Oh, for sure. No.
I don't know what the hell that was. So yeah, I think people are really seeing the fact that this is you're having great races, great racers. You're having a really fun, all-encompassing experience of going there, and it's kind of really cool.
Yeah,
So-
it is, and it, like I said, like it's getting bigger, and more people are coming out, more people are enjoying it too, and it's definitely like, I mean, if I wasn't racing, I would totally be there, and like,
Yeah.
like, and that's kind of when I grew up as a kid too. Like, I didn't really say much about that, but when I was a young kid, I mean, my dad brought me to like the racetrack every weekend, and we'd go there, and it was just a fun thing.
And then
I mean,
the seed was planted.
yeah, and I was a young kid just sitting there and watching them, and I mean, be falling asleep in the grandstands. I think my parents one time they told me they took me to a NASCAR race. And I think I was like 4 or 5 years old, and I ended up falling asleep. It's like blistering loud. I don't know if you've ever been to a NASCAR race or ever hear anything like that.
Not a NASCAR race, but I know how loud like dirt.
Yeah, I fell asleep in the grandstands, and they're like, "Yep, you fell asleep, and then you woke up, and then you watched races." Like, yeah. So I mean,
That's so funny.
yeah. So I mean, it's
You got a little cup of Mountain Dew next to you.
for sure. Yeah, you see the kids like playing in the dirt with
Yeah.
their cars. I mean, it's a huge thing.
That's so funny, man.
Yeah.
And it's kind of awesome to think that in 10, 12 years, that might be the next generation.
Yeah. You
Kids
never
watching
know.
it right now.
Hey, that was me, man. When I
Exactly.
was a kid, I was definitely playing in the dirt, like with my little Matchbox cars, like having fun, watching the races.
Fuck yeah,
like,
man.
Asked my parents for a soda at like 11 o'clock at night. Like,
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Like that was the experience. You're like, yeah, this is a fun time because I'm getting to do whatever I want kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I
then
mean,
you kind of internalize the whole racing theme.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
really cool, man. Yeah. I'm happy to see that happening. I'm happy to see, the local areas kind of on an uprise and an upswing, and everybody's kind of embracing the sport.
all forms of racing too, not
Yeah.
only dirt racing, but I mean motocross racing. I don't know about you, but
Huge
I've
in
noticed
here now.
it feels like it's getting bigger.
Yes.
I mean, I know it used to be real big back in the 80s and the 90s, but it kind of seemed when we were in high school it wasn't so big, and now it seems like, I mean, with Zelensky's track opening up north, so I mean, it does seem like it's getting a lot bigger.
Yeah, I'm hearing of a lot more. Yeah, when we had Matt on Adam Levine's sixth cousin.
Adam Levine's sixth cousin.
But we had him on. Ever since he's been describing a very similar situation. A lot of people are on the upswing of that because, like you said, the economy's in a good position. We have the means of doing it. People have the means of going out and doing something like that for family entertainment to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, what a hell of a positive thing to bring to the area as well, you know?
Oh yeah.
Outdoor sports, you know, that people can go to.
Yeah, it's just something. I mean, we all have had it. I mean, we're like bored and sitting down on our couch in the middle of summer, and you're like, okay, what do I do?
Yeah.
Like, do I want to go out and like go have a beer, or do I want to go out and do something fun?
Yeah,
like,
I want to go see some cool shit.
Yeah, you want to go fishing, or you want to go have fun, or want to go do something like that. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, like,
and it's like I feel like it's almost kind of primal. Whenever there's like big, loud, fast, chaotic things going on, we love it.
Oh yeah,
demolition derbies and freaking races, and you know, I've seen like snow drags on frozen lakes, and you're just like the madness of it all.
Anything going fast, man.
It's like comforting all the craziness and the chaos.
It's exciting to watch. It gets your heart rate racing.
It does, dude. It gets the adrenaline pumping. I could see absolutely why someone watching it at a young age would immediately be drawn to it.
Oh, you're hooked, yeah,
and then you're just building it. You probably had all the race cars as a kid, all the games.
Oh yeah,
yep,
yeah, for sure.
It's so funny to see what people kind of latch onto, and that's like their driving force, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely unique. So is there anybody else you want to give a shout out to, or as a member of your team? Or
Yeah,
like
so
that?
I know
we were getting right through it.
Chris Weatherby, he's another guy who's on our team. Well, for the past like probably 3-4 years now, where he's really been helping out, helping getting a lot of the labor stuff off my dad. So he's there right now, and he was when I left yesterday. They were actually up there building the body for the car. So I mean, getting the body ready for our new sponsorships.
Awesome.
But I mean, him and I also forgot to mention Community Car Wash. They're another sponsor of ours. They give us, so like you heard about the expenses of racing. They give us $500 a month during race season. Actually, from last month all the way up until the end of October. And I mean, it's just to help burden the expense of racing.
Fuel and all that.
Oh yeah. So I mean, that's a huge help. I mean, he's been a huge. He's been with us for a while now. Ever since, I mean, I think good portion of 4 or 5 years. So
wow.
Yeah, so I mean, he's really helped out a lot, and with the medicine shop coming online with us too. So it's been a lot of fun, and we're hoping for a good season.
Yeah, awesome, man.
Yeah.
I hope you guys do well.
Yeah,
sounds like you have a pretty crackpot team behind you, and it's very inspiring to see that you guys are constantly working so hard. Even though it's not your full-time job, just constantly working at it to become better.
Yeah. And for those guys, it's like a hobby they love, you know? Like, it's just fun.
Yeah.
It is fun being at the shop and working over there, too. I mean, it all depends on what makes you tick.
It must be so satisfying to step back after you've won that race and look at the car and be like, we all did this together. And think of all the hours and just time and money spent into doing that, and you're like, this was all worth it.
Yeah, this is what it was, you know, like
awesome.
This is what you did for it. Yeah,
it's like seeing your dreams come to fruition.
Yeah,
and luckily you guys have put together like I said earlier, the perfect formula, perfect concoction where it keeps coming to fruition. You guys know what you're doing now, and now it's firing on all cylinders.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome, man.
That's great.
Well, it's always disheartening to see or hear of a lost friend, but hopefully you guys can do well coming into the next season.
Oh yeah.
Tackle as many races as you can. You think you're gonna be getting out to most of the Utica Roams, all the Utica Roams?
I think most. So we actually were just taking a peek at the schedule the other night, so we know kind of me and Carly try to look and see when we can take vacation and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
But no, we're every race that we're scheduled for, I think we're pretty much gonna go to it. So
awesome.
And then again, we're also gonna go play around a little bit more. So not only Utica Rome, but we'll probably go down to Fulton Speedway, which is like. I don't know,
near Syracuse.
Yeah, it's near Syracuse. Probably about a half hour past Syracuse, and like Burden Speedway, maybe anywhere really. I mean, maybe drive down to Afton and go see how they're doing again this year. So,
nice.
I mean, we're definitely gonna go out there and try to play around. But I mean, Utica Rome, it's awesome. Like, so I mean, the best part about Utica Rome is it's close. It's like very family oriented track. It's one of the cleanest tracks in the area too. So
what do you mean by that?
So I mean, with like the grandstand areas and stuff like that. So I mean, I don't know how many racetracks you've been to, but
only Utica Rome that I could think of.
Yeah, so Utica Rome, you go in the bathrooms there. It's like going to the bathrooms in like your own house. I mean, versus like some tracks, it's like a trough and like
kind of trashy.
Yeah, kind of trashy. honestly, like the I don't know, the infrastructure there is kind of run down, stuff like that. But I mean, at Utica Rome Speedway, they're a class act. So,
Yeah.
So I
They
mean,
really-
and that's what draws a lot of people, I think, to Utica Rome. I mean, it
Totally.
is a class act like track. I mean, you go there, the place is beautiful. I mean, the pit area is wide open, and it's
And even when you
stoned.
drive by, it looks aesthetically like
Yeah, it's
pleasing,
a nice,
you know?
it's a nice track, and it really that's what brings the family members out. You know, that's what
Yeah.
brings the people, like, not the diehards, but like the people that are like, oh yeah, let's go out and see what racing is.
Yeah.
kind of people, not like the diehards, like, we're going to every race
Yeah,
this year.
yeah. Shirtless.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I totally get it. So do you plan on getting into any more championships down the line, or
Yeah.
are there? How often do those things, other than the ROC, you call it, right?
Yeah, it's called ROC. It's Race of Champions.
Champions.
Yeah, so
Other than that, how many are there? In there?
There's quite a few. So I mean, there's the Dirt Series race, which the Dirt Series already started. That started. I think they start down in Volusia Speedway. There's that. There's a couple others around us, but I mean, the big one for most of the southern, we call it the southern tier tracks, like basically south of the thruway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The southern tier tracks was the ROC, and that kind of got sold, and now they're not doing it. It's got a long, muddy history. But anyways, so I mean, we're really just gonna basically have fun, and like I said, we race to have fun. So we're just gonna race Utica Rome, go play around, and try to win a couple big races.
Nice. Not really worried about the pressure. of
Yeah,
some
yeah.
sort
So
of
believe me,
championship or
when you're doing those championships, I mean, it's almost like nerve wracking. You go to a track like saying, okay, I have to win, or I got to get third place, or you're like fifth in points, and you're like, all right, I got to do seventh or better, and then you don't. You feel like let down, and you
Yeah.
feel like you let down the whole team. Versus now,
Yeah.
it's like it's wide open, stress free. Like we're having fun and
Yeah.
enjoying the ride. You know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many people are usually in a one heat race? Like, how many people are you racing against?
It really depends. I mean, one heat, it really completely depends on how many cars are there. I mean, huge races, there's usually upwards like 60, maybe 70. But usually like that's a feature event, and usually in heat races they'll usually split it up to not any more than 8 or 9 or 10 cars.
Okay.
But usually on a normal night, like when we were running down to Afton, they'd have around 20 sportsmen down there, and they would usually try to do three heat races, and they try to do that to split so you don't get so many cars into one heat race before the big feature, because you don't want any wrecks or anything like that.
Right, that's what
you
I was
don't
just
want. You
thinking.
don't want people to wreck their car before they get out there into the big feature. So that really does make a lot of sense to split it up so that you're
Yeah.
not putting 10 cars into one heat. They might go to 6 or 8 cars in one heat.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
thinking, because they're not exactly enormous tracks here,
No.
and one guy gets slowed down or wrecks, you're very quickly going to see the rest of the guys again.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So I really kind of dropped the ball here. I got to grab my charger quick. So
Oh, all right.
this
Go
thing
for
just
it.
got low battery. We must be draining it out.
No, you're good.
You can talk shit to the fans.
I'll wait for you to get back.
Don't judge me. People make mistakes, okay?
Happens every day.
God, man. You're lucky I'm even awake right now. Okay. So they keep track of all the racers for the whole season in the area? Is that how they do it?
Like for like how the ROC used to work.
Like, are you all positioned for the year? Like, are all of the racers in the area ranked?
Kinda.
So
I mean, it's a little different. So it's not so much like motocross racing. What it is like, so at Utica Rome they race there week in and week out, right?
Right.
Like every Sunday there's a race at Utica Rome.
Yeah.
So what they do is they like average. You get points for the night. So to win a race, it's like 60 points. To get second, it might be 50. I think it's 56 points. To get third, it goes 4, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2 until you get all the way down to a certain time.
Okay.
So what they do is they add all those points up, and that's how they figure out who a track champion is, right?
Okay.
So then they usually do, if you're like in an ROC tour, or now there's even these tire championships. So there's the American Racers Championship. There's the Dirt Series. What they do is it's basically a series that goes from track to track to track to track.
Okay.
And what happens is like sometimes you get like 40 cars at one track, you might get 50 cars at another, you might get 20 cars at another, and on like a Friday night here, a Saturday night here, a Sunday night there. And what they do is then they average the points won from each track if you go to the next one, right? And the other one, the American Series points races, that's even more confusing. That's almost like you need like a dictionary to sit down and figure that out.
Really?
What they do is they figure out like how many cars are there, and you get basically like a hardness level, like how hard like the track is.
Okay.
And what they do is then they average points up, and then they do like who went to the most tracks, and then it's called the American Series or American Racer Cup, and that's even more
Wow.
like it's really detailed. I don't even know all the rules to tell you the truth.
So each one of these series can kind of have their own arbitrary set of ranking
exactly,
systems.
or rules
Or
too.
rules.
So yeah, so some like ROC rules was basically home tracks rule apply. So now, if I said, hey, my home track's actually Afton, not Utica Rome, Afton has more lenient open sportsman rules than Utica Rome does. So that's what I would claim my home track is.
So you can do different shit because you're from somewhere else.
Because you're from somewhere else. So what happens?
And all you got to
is
do is say it. You don't have to prove it?
all these other tracks, they all have different rules. And then what used to happen was you'd be like, okay, well, this track's my home track. I raced it. Well, it technically was because we were going there and racing there every week.
But you don't have to prove it, do you?
No, I mean, I think you got to race there every week. Or
How do they
weekly.
prove that?
I don't know. They go on their track's website and figure it out. So I mean, and that's what I'm saying. Like, and now with dirt coming online, well, not coming online. Dirt's been around forever, but with dirt really getting big in our area, that's the nice thing about dirt rules is you can go from here to Florida, and the rules are the same. So
that's really strange to me. So you're saying if I went to that series and I said I was from Afton.
Mm-hmm.
And you said you were from Utica Rome, we'd be racing together under different rules.
Yep.
In that same series. What the fuck?
Yeah, man. Yeah,
that's
man.
ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's where like I'm saying that's how like dirt really formed too. I mean they're old. I mean dirt's from like the 60s or 70s, I forget. But it's really become popular now because you can go track to track to track and everybody has the same rule book. Like, I mean, your car is not exactly, but your car follows the same rules as my car. Wow. And I mean, there's a lot of politics involved with that kind of stuff too. But I mean, that's kind of the way. It's so tricky. I mean, you got all these tracks in our area, so there's a lot of tracks in New York State, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of tracks, the rules are different. So it's kind of hard for some guys to like, okay, I'm going to build a car to go run Utica Rome.
Yeah.
But I also want to race down here. So it can be tricky and try to figure out where you can go and where you can't go and what you can run at one track. And this is not just in modifieds or open sportsman. I mean, this is 4 cylinders, pure stocks, pro stocks. These are all the classes. They don't follow the same set of rules. So like our pro stocks that run here at Utica Rome are completely different than what they run down south. I mean,
really?
Yeah, I mean they are just like night and day different cars.
That is so
interesting. But they call it the same thing, and like sometimes they try to run them together. And if you try to take a car from down south and bring it up here, it wouldn't do good at Utica Rome. But if you were to take a car from down here up here at Utica Rome and try to bring it down there, it's not going to do good down there either.
Really?
It's all based on tracks and how they.
So are there like limitations like the suspension or the motor size? Is those are all the differences?
That's all the different things. Yep.
Wow. And so they try to have those. I feel like one of them would definitely be at a disadvantage. If you're
exactly. It depends on where you are.
Yeah.
So I mean, if they're coming up here and you're running at your track with your home rules against them, then yeah,
very interesting.
You're at an advantage. Then if you go down there, then you're at a disadvantage.
Yeah. What the hell?
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's something that's in the pipeline, but you'd think that's something they would want to iron out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're trying. So I mean, dirt's really, really coming big
to kind of unify it.
Yeah, they're trying to bring all the tracks they can together, but it's real strange. I mean, you got to be dirt sanctioned, and there's got to be all these things that you got to follow, and just to follow those rules. I mean, not I'm not saying like the cars do, but I'm saying that the track itself has to be sanctioned to run it. So it gets really confusing.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
And so when you're at Utica Rome, though, whoever goes to however many races gets ranked based on points, and it doesn't matter if you show up to all of them or not. If you have the most points, you're track champion of the year.
Yeah.
And you've won that how many times?
Track champion?
Yeah.
Not at Utica, so that's what all my friends kind of.
Oh, it's like a hurdle we got.
I have won a lot of times at Utica, but I've never won a track championship at Utica. Somehow I always seem to get screwed out of one. But yeah, no. So I mean, that's kind of the running joke with my friends that like, oh hey, you know. Never that Utica track championship, man. Blah blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, screw you. And
can we expect to see you try it?
Shout out, Jake Stout.
Yeah. Stout. Come on, man. Yeah, right. You're gonna let this kid get away with not being track champion?
Yeah, right. I mean, what the heck, man.
So is that something you kind of aim to get?
Yeah, I mean, I really want to get one. So I mean, I got a track championship down in Afton Speedway. I've gotten track championships at Brewerton Speedway. I got track championships ice racing basically,
but not in your own backyard.
But not at Utica Speedway.
Man.
So that's a tricky one. But so I mean, we really got to try to win one. And to win a track champion is hard. I mean, you not only got to be perfect and win a lot and all that. I mean, you literally got to be perfect throughout the season. So the reason why we've never won one was, I mean, really because we had motor issues. I mean, we blew up engines or we got into a wreck one night, and in one night of blowing a motor and getting last place in a championship that is based off of points, right?
Yeah.
Like
you
get knocked down to where you only got 30 points and the guy who won got 60 points. I mean, it's tricky coming back up there. I think the last time we raced at Utica, we were within like 4 points of winning.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, we were leading points at one point, and then we ended up having a bad night, and we ended up coming right back, and we thought we could do it. I ended up winning the race, the last race of the championship, but the guy who was leading the points got like third.
Oh.
And I needed him to finish fourth, and we would have tied. I think if he finished fifth, I would have won.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, it's crazy. The whole year, I mean, you're going from like April racing season starts all the way until track champions usually run until about September.
Yeah.
Or beginning October. Most of the time September, some range in September, and it comes down to the last race. I mean, it is wild. I mean, it's just like I don't know. Like basketball or something like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like
you don't have to be the winningest team.
Yeah, you don't
win.
have to exactly. Yep.
Wow, man. Well, I hope that you guys make a good run at it this year. That'd be really awesome to see you guys come full circle.
Yes, it would.
And get the last one. Well, I know you got to eventually get back to work. We've been a little over an hour, so I don't mind if we want to wind down a bit. Still just shoot the shit. I like to get my walking bass as an outro. I want to do a quick tune in on Twitch. I thought I was looking at it on my phone, but I don't think I was. Got 4 people watching now.
Nice.
Shout out to whoever's watching. Feel free to chime in. Give Claude a question.
Now you got all my friends making fun of me, texting me saying, "Oh, you said something wrong."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Specifically, Orby and my girlfriend.
Orbinati.
Yeah.
Carly. Mate, I hope you heard the first part.
Yeah, right.
Earlier. Hutchings the third. That's what's got to happen?
Claude,
right?
Yeah, I don't
Claude
know.
the third.
You
Come
never
on,
know.
man.
I don't think she'll let me do it.
I hope she does. So awesome. A little you fucking tearing ass around the house.
Oh yeah.
Dude, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Yeah, for sure. No.
What a fun show.
Anytime.
I love this show because it allows me to sit down with someone and discuss something that sometimes I feel like I have a good general understanding of a lot of things, but like to have the details. And really, man, when you were driving home, how precise these guys are about your work and about the tires and the exact, torquing down your nuts and bolts right to the pound. That's impressive.
Yeah, these guys are wild, right?
Yeah, man. And it sounds like you have, like I keep saying, a really excellent team behind you, and to see you follow your passion and all of you guys work together and create that cohesive team that produces such winning results. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I can't wish you guys enough luck.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's pretty tricky, but I mean, it's a lot of fun.
Come back on the episode when you win track champion.
Yeah,
we'll talk
maybe
about it.
We'll have to show Jake and Orby up.
Yeah, let's go, guys. Let's get some money on this, huh? What's the over/under on him winning? Thank you again to everybody who keeps liking, sharing, enjoying the content. If you're watching live now, like I said, if you want to chime in and give Claude some ridicule, I'm all for it. But if not, if you're watching this on YouTube or whatever, feel free to share it, spread the word, spread the love. I'm so happy that so many people are, and I've heard nothing but great support. And
Yeah, no, this is a really cool show, and I'd like to really thank you for having me on it, man. It was awesome. Dude.
Anytime, dude.
Yeah,
this
cool.
is a good conversation. I think it will open a lot of people's eyes to something that they otherwise just see on a Sunday as, like you said, just a fast car going by.
Yeah, for sure. And everybody should go to Utica Speedway too.
Yeah, everybody. When does this start? When's
Actually, our first race is April 14th. Yeah.
April 4th, 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Get your ass off the couch and go there.
Yeah, exactly. Stop being lazy.
Yeah, stop being lazy. Go drink a beer in the bleachers, all right? I mean, what do you got to do? So thank you, everybody. Claude, man, you're a great guest. You're a great guy, and I look forward to talking with you again when you win that championship.
Yeah, for sure.
All
man.
right? Try not to get lost out there, everybody. Thank you so much.